Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Deceptilab. This your boy Freeze. Hey, real quick for you guys that's already in the chat, let me know how my sound is. I did a test earlier, and I think it was better than it was last week. But let me know in the chat how the sound is working. But anyway, we are going to be obviously, as you probably could tell from the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about the new endurance bots this this stream, and I just got them today, so I only got to play around with them a little bit. But yeah, man, um, I'm looking forward to them, actually testing them out and everything like that. And then I'm still getting a lot of questions about just certain bots that I use and why I use those bots instead of other bots that have similar abilities and stuff like that. So I'm gonna run through a couple of those. I actually want to start a real in-depth series about that, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But before we get to any of that, but it says the output seems a little bit low. I can turn that up. Yeah, it's almost maxed out. But yeah, before we get into any of that, let's take a look at this week's newsletter. And we got this week's event. It is called Glacial Epoch. And so they're calling it week one of the saga. We'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. Um, but yeah, so we got an individual totalizer this weekend. Let's see, you can get a 4-star crystal with no dupes. And then you're going to have your Spark XP items, many other rewards. So, it looks like we just got a typical 10K, it looks like. And so, normal battle zones and everything. And then we got some weekend bundles coming in there. So they're starting to celebrate Christmas and, all the other winter holidays here a little bit. And so this they got some bundles in there. Got some decent prizes in there. So that mistletoe crystals coming with uh 33% odds at either 1,000 Shanix, 35-star shards, or 35-star combat shards. And then they got a 1% chance at a golden lagoon core. They said I got a warming crystal, 33% odds at 500 cyber coins, uh, 30 of your 5-star shards, or 30 of your 5-star combat shards, and then a troop research skip item. I wonder which one is if this is going to be at random, because I said I would love to get like two more. Oh, that's research skips. Never mind. I thought it said rank skip, but yeah, research skip. And then the offering chest has got 33% odds at 500 prime core shards, 35-star shards, or 35-star combat shards, or troop upgrade, ability upgrade. Um, so yeah, and then they're saying it's gonna be a whole bunch more stuff in there as well. But we'll see how it turns out. I mean, usually with the holidays and stuff, they do pretty good, so I'm not overly concerned. I don't usually buy a lot of those kind of bundles anyway, but um, just depending on how they come out, I may go in there and take a peek. So we'll see. And I just realized I forgot to post on Discord, so that's why I'm kind of distracted. I wanted to make sure with endurance bots that everybody got a chance to check it out. All right, so and I got a couple more pictures there of the Cyberpass skins that are coming up this go around. So you get your Yeti Optimal and Ice Dragon T2, like I was talking about last week. So they got a couple more shots of them, as well as the Cyberpass itself. So definitely looking at that. And let's see. Now this is what's going to be different. The Saga schedule. So the Saga schedule already got pushed out by 2 weeks. Uh, so right now we're in, was technically supposed to be week 9, but really what it is we're gonna be beginning a new, essentially a new saga. They're gonna basically make it into like a holiday type saga, and with that, what we're gonna be doing is starting off with this individual totalizer, and then you're gonna have your endurance event next week. Unfortunately, right there before the week of Christmas. So I know it was a couple of people already talking about it in the chat how they're going to have to miss it because they're traveling for the holidays, and that's really unfortunate. And that's think that when you go move the event schedule, when you go move the event schedule 2 times, these are the kind of consequences that come with it. I think it's going to be an event that's going to have lower participation than it normally would for this endurance, but we'll see how it goes. Um, we also so they adding 2 Xmas season events, and what the goal is here is because they moved the Saga schedule by 2 weeks and added 2 weeks to that schedule. You got to do something to balance out Cyber Pass. So they just said, hey, we'll just add 2 more in there for the holiday weeks, and so there'll be an end of year special, 4-star no dupe combat. So that'll be cool. And then they're talking about this going to be this event for the Raiden and Dino King 4-star parts. Um, so I know I was talking with a few other testers earlier today. um, One of the things that Dale was saying, I think it was on Cybertron chat, was that for that Raiden and Dino King 4-star part, they're not going to release all 6 parts at one time. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I am curious to see how many they release at one time. Um, but it's going to be irritating to a lot of people. I personally, I'm not bothered by it, but we'll see how it goes. And there they got the note in there saying that it's going to be an extra 2 weeks for next season Cyber Pass so that we can sync the 4 week Cyber Pass period again. And they also added the Raiden and Dino King event is going to be in Mayhem mode, so 50k individual. Not a awful lot of work for that event. Be sure to check out all your content creators. So that's myself, Soldier, and of course Sunstreaker Waza. Check him out as well. And then Space Ape is going to have their stream. It looks like that's next week, so it'll be the 19th of December. And that's all we got for the news this time. So let's go ahead and check out who we have in the stream. And it looks like my good friend Jacada, one of my playtest buddies and members, good friend of mine, is first in the chat. Thanks for joining, Jacada. As well as the homie Rippin' Griff, another one of my members and one of my teammates here over there at the Horde. Thanks for joining. We got David Lee joining us again, as well as Shockbomb 2028. Another couple of our regulars. Thanks for joining. The homie Daddy Pig is in here with us again, one of my good friends and members. He always check up on me too. He's like, "Hey man, you streaming tonight?" Because I said, I'll get slippery and just try to like not not go on stream. But yeah, I'm up here, so ready to get it started. But thanks for joining, buddy. All right, let's see. We got Michael Cooper is with us again. Thanks for joining. We got Autobot Phil with us again. Thanks for joining. Everybody talking about the weather where they at, and I say here. So it's been raining here, but it's been kind of warm. And for me, I'm saying warm. I'm talking about like maybe like 50 something degrees. So Cicada's talking about because he's out there in Arizona, and I was like, hey man, like I like y'all weather. I like the weather there because it's dry. So when it gets hot, then I'm like, okay, it's not hot with a bunch of like nasty sticky hot. It's just like it's hot. I can tolerate that better, but the homie LJ Gav and one of my good friends and members joined up here. Thanks for joining. The homie Magic is in here. And he said he asked, "Why do I get notifications from a person with the role of striker?" So we had a war yesterday. We had a war yesterday with each other, and shout out to the guys over there in G1. They actually beat us. But he was like, "Yo, you got striker role," and I was like, "Yeah, I was having some struggles, like I told you guys a month or two ago, and I'm past them now, but the other person we had at striker was really good at defense, so they put him in a defender role, and they said, "Well, we got to do something with this. Well, we'll just give it to the person we had last." So, all good out here. Not really worried about it. But thanks for joining, Magic. All right, we got Lou Megas with us again. Thanks for joining, Lou. And then we got Chris Harmon, a good friend of mine, one of my moderators and very first members. Thanks for joining, Chris. That's the other guy that always check to make sure I'm streaming every week. All right, so we already got that said. Rippin' Griff says, "I will go for it. If it's worth it, I could go for the 5 star. So we'll hopefully we can start the process of you making that determination tonight for this endurance bot." All right, you got B Game 77. Thanks for joining us. We got Damon Swink, and it says it's his first time joining. Thanks for joining, Damon. All right, we got one of my other teammates, Preacher, is in the chat. Thanks for joining, Preacher. We got Razorhorn 74. Thanks for joining us again. Hey, we got Vixen in the chat. Thanks for joining, Vixen. We got DC in there as well. Thanks for joining, DC. And then, yeah, I think I got everyone. If I don't, go into the chat, give me a tag in the chat, and I will shout you out. All right, so, and then let me go switch my screen over, and and something is up with my, yeah, that's weird. No, I don't want to quit. So some kind of way, my screen settings got all messed up. So let me fix that. But yeah, I just gonna start out talking about the new bot because I mean we waited long enough. I think it's time to stop delaying about this new bot. I was actually surprised we actually just got it today in playtest, and for me, I was a little bit irritated by that because at first, we thought the event was gonna be 2 weeks ago, and now it's interfering with Christmas and everything like that. But overall, I was just we need the information. People are already bidding on this stuff. So this is what we got. This is the Decepticon version, Dreadwing. Not overly crazy about the artwork, but yeah, we'll see what's going on. And I see King Grimlock joined us in the chat, one of my other good friends from Playtest. Thanks for joining, buddy, and says he is out for the endurance. Says I'll be a no-show for endurance. But yeah, so that's what we got artwork wise for Dreadwing. Then we gotta go take a look at the Autobot version. So we got Wing Saber over here. Now his artwork or whatever, at least in robot form, is pretty decent. I have not looked at his alt mode yet, so let's check that out. Yeah, I mean that's okay. His bot form is pretty good artwork wise. But yeah, these are gonna be your 2 new endurance bots. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the abilities and everything. Now, we got a lot of moving pieces in playtest right now because usually Dale will go in there and make sure we get all our stuff right now, and I'm gonna remove the combat real quick. But right now, what we got is I only got him up to level 68, a little bit short of level 69, just because it was just a mess. Like we didn't have so in playtest. For most of you, you've seen that they changed all the menus in Transformers Earth Wars. Well, they changed it in playtest too, and that caused us not to be able to just go in. You know how a lot of times I just go in and I'll just add whatever items I need in playtest. Yeah, well, we lost that, and they're not going to be able to fix it till tomorrow. So I had to have them manually give me XP for this, and then I ran out, and I was like, I'm not asking them for that again because they only gave them to me a million at a time, and so like even like right now, I would have to go do that 12 times just to get them to level 69, and then however many other times to go get it to 70. But this is close to the maxed out version. His ability, now his ability is honestly very, very similar to another bot we've seen, and that's Cyclonus. And shoot, man, who's the Autobot version for Cyclonus? Uh, and I know who it is. I'm just not thinking. I know somebody's gonna say it in the chat before I even find it. But while I'm looking at that, we can actually see what it looks like at the very beginning. So Power Glide, thanks guys. But so that's where you start out at. But I'm looking at it more like so that ability, Stealth Bomber. So a couple of additional things it's gonna do. So it's supposed to go into stealth mode for 6 seconds. It's gonna drop 8 free fall bombs while they're going to the target. Each one is gonna do. It's gonna have a damage multiplier. In this case, at the level I got them at right now, it's at 0.53 DPS. So that's supposed to be based off of the base damage. And so here you see he's got that base damage, minus the perk bonuses and stuff like that. So it's base damage of 827, and then you'll have that 0.53 multiplier. That multiplier does change as you go up in level. So I probably want to say that's probably going to wind up being something that's like at 0.55 by the time he's at level 70. I'll have to check that out after I can go get more resources. And let's see. Um, so it's going to do that damage in a small area. And the ability 11 here, so I already took him the ability 11. And the ability 11 is going to remove shields from anything that's hit. Now I will say right now that is not working for us in playtest, so we do need to get them to fix that. um but it kind of gives me the idea when I looked at this tooltip. It kind of gave me the idea. It's like, okay, well, are we making something this, I don't know, almost like a hybrid in between like Cyclonus and Power Glide, like a something in between them and like what Roadbuster's ability does with much, much, much less damage. So um, I'll be honest with you, I didn't start off just looking at this tooltip. I'm not impressed by it too much. It is saying that the final target's gonna, it's gonna deal times 4.2 DPS at that. Um, I don't know, and that's with me having the EO up there. So let me take the enhanced ordnance off and see how that looks. I mean, because it's a multiplier, yeah, now it's gonna take some more calculating because typically when you put the power core on there, it will, it'll show a damage increase. But because this is a multiplier, it's not gonna show that. But let's go take a look, see what it does. I'll run a base trial real quick. Hey, Callum's in the chat. Thanks for joining, Callum. And I see Fox the Bomb joined as well as Big Blade, two of my moderators and good friends. So thanks for joining, guys. So here's my issue. So I tried this out today, and I got to do more testing to it. Like I said, I got this in the middle of the workday today, and that's pretty typical for us to go get content and play tests on Wednesday in the middle of the day like that. But I had a little bit of time today, so I just leveled them up primarily because that took me a while. But I just want to pick some soft targets and see how it does with that ability. All right, so here It took out a spider mine. Let me go to this laser turret. And I think that's the problem people are gonna have. Like, let's zoom in on that turret, and it didn't do a lot of damage there. And I think the biggest thing is when you talk about one of the biggest complaints that people had with Power Glide and Cyclonus is you're not hitting just one target. You know, you using your ability and it's hitting. Sometimes those bombs are hitting multiple targets, and what that causes is for you not to do as much damage. So I'm gonna definitely do some more testing. I'm definitely gonna show some more on this stream of what this bot is capable of. But I want to go back to look at all this stuff real quick again because damage wise is pretty good. It's gonna be up there, um, to the point that I want to, talking about normal damage at this point. So I'm gonna add fracas. I always like to add that 5-star fracas. See what I do with the extra 32%, just for the ground damage. So the ground damage is, it's pretty high. It's one of the higher ones that we get up there in the game. But I'm just not 100% sold on this ability. Now, I could see this going one or two ways, and I'm going to actually run them again in a team while we're in there talking. I could see this going one or two ways. I could see it going where we lower the damage and just make him a straight up support, where we can make him really niche, and we can make him really niche where he just goes in there and just drops shields. I know from experience that people aren't going to like that. But it is the direction. If we could get to a point where we're stuck, that would be my suggestion, is to bring the cost down. Otherwise, he's going to have to do more damage. And I hadn't even tried to calculate his damage to see if his damage is correct yet, because I've had that little time to test him. But I know we all been waiting. Um, and then we still aren't able to test his G1 core yet. So that's going to become a factor. But I will go look at the message that the developer gave us today, and I'll tell you what he had to say about that. So now here, when I'm not challenging a tough base, it can destroy some weaker objects. But even then, like, man, that's got to be like a HQ 15 or 16. You couldn't even take out your ore storage. So I gotta go crunch some numbers and see what it looks like. Right now, it's a no go. We got a week, so we got to figure it out between now and then. But let me go look at the chat real quick, and we're going to see what kind of questions we got in the chat. All right, so Big Blade was excited because it's going to be an air class bot, and I know we've had that conversation. There have been a lot special class bots. So, yes, it is going to be air class. DC says kind of looks like an elementary schooler drew the con. Let's see. Michael Cooper says Wing Saber has a backpack like Dora the Explorer. Yeah, and I see E Rods showing us. Thanks for joining, E Rods, as well as RG. Yeah, Matt Mardigan in there. Thanks for joining, as well as Cuddy Fox with us again. Alright, so King Grimlock says another uncontrollable ability. Yeah, I mean, and this is what trips me out is because, and I'm sure you were part of that conversation in playtest. But when we first started talking about this bot, oh no, when we first started talking about Cyclonus and Power Glide, one of the things they were saying, we were making ideas or trying to come up with ideas for them like 3 months ago, and it turned into, well, we're gonna use a bomb run type ability for another bot, and I figured they meant they were gonna do that soon, and then here we are, and I thought we were going away from that on Cyclonus because we didn't, necessarily like that, the line damage thing. It's one thing if the line damage is going all the way through, like on Roadbuster, and like on a bot like that in half shell. But like when it's just line damage and it's kind of like just touching one or two items and you're losing damage as a result or the opportunity for damage, that's always going to be a problem for players. Ripping Grip says we need a null ray for Beachcomber to stop hacking or freeze him or something. Yeah, no, I mean, everybody would love that. Let's see, we got Monty says another underwhelming bot. Come on, Space Ape. Well, hopefully the thing is, hopefully we can make it into something now, between now and then. So, we will. I'll take a look at what their intent was in here in a minute, and we'll take a look at what it was that they actually got for the G1 as well. All right, my homie and good friend, teammate as well, and member C Malt joined us. Says, "What's up, everybody?" Another one of my good friends, my moderator, Dark Terror, is with us. Thanks for joining, Dark Terror. All right. Now LJ, you might have. They say you might have missed that. We showed them in the lab. But yeah, that's what this transformation looks like. Yeah, so let's see what else we got. David Lee says, I know my bad feeling about these bots was true. And this is one of the reasons why, and I'm showing the bot this time because I know we are out of time for people to really get any information. Um, by all means, if you got ideas for the bot, leave them, mm, put them in the chat. But I would prefer if you get a really good idea, leave it in the comments because I'll actually see it when I get up in the morning and pass them along to Space 8. But um, and I've done it before, and I've had some guys come up with some really good ideas, and I say something about them, and it gets put into the game. Um, it's not there yet. It's very rare when we get a bot the very first time, and it's just ready to go, picture perfect. Nova Prime was an exception. Nova Prime and Vector Prime. I don't think we had to really change them much at all. They were looking pretty good right out the box, and I was thankful for that because we do seem to get these bots later and later as we go along. Cuddy Fox says we have a few bots for medics that they could have bought. Autobots still have Velocity and Scar. Decepticons have Nickel and Prime Knockout. Of course, Knockout could be a Merc. Yeah, I mean, and I think with all the different characters, they'll get around to it at some point. Michael Cooper says after all these delays, bot still looks rushed. Um, nah, I mean, I think they probably had the concept for a while. No, I'm almost certain they had the concept for a while because like because in playtest we were told that they were going to do like another bomb run type ability. So the concept has been there. We're gonna have to fine tune it and hopefully we come up with something that everybody likes. Um, I'm doing the event not really necessarily for the bot because I haven't had a large event in a while. I'm trying to finish maxing out my war team, so I'll do it, but we'll see. So Monty says no way this will happen this week, but an aerial bot similar to Swoop instead of damage EMP focus, have it focus on disabling shields in the selected area. Uh, B game says the range is good. So yeah, it does have decent range. I just want more, and I think that when you start talking about damage, now if you start talking about low damage, it has to do something really, really good. And one of the reasons why I backed out of when we were doing the Metal Hawk, when we were doing that endurance event, one of the reasons why I backed out is because the damage was bad. What it did that did was great, but I was like, man, look, at least let me take out a build bot. So it's tough. I feel like anytime you make new content, it's got to keep up. It's got to keep up with the current meta, and damage wise, it's not going to do that. We've already had a bot to take out shields, and like I said, it's not even really working for me on playtest. So um, as soon as I know something different, I'll try to let you know. Usually when stuff like this comes, I'll make an update video and be like, hey, this is where we're at now with this particular bot, just so you guys kind of get an update. So be on the lookout for that as well. But man, it's tough. It's tough right now. Right now, it's not ready, and I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna test it some more tonight, and hopefully we can get it ready. But right now, this ain't it. So I'll just be honest. But that doesn't mean we can't get there with a little work. And so just I already started talking to some of the other playtesters trying to figure out like, hey man, how can we get this thing going to where it's desirable? And I said Big Blaze said he got an idea. So go ahead and throw that idea out there. I know you usually talk to me after the stream anyway, so um, if you wanna discuss Big Blade, hit me up. Jacada says he just needs to drop the mother of all bombs. I don't think that's what they were going for here, but yeah. It's just like because with air class, at one point in time with air class used to be like we used to be real big on the one shot kills, and then everybody just got into this whole thing like everything needs to be AOE, and the thing is that kind of bothers me with everything being AOE is that the damage usually goes way down, but this doesn't even have anything to do with that. This is just way too low. Period. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So I told you guys I was going to take a look at some of the notes that they had up there for the G1. Um, so, well, I'm just going to look at what we were looking at in playtest, period. So it says they're striving to add a bot that incorporates elements of their character within the Transformers universe, offers a simple yet effective addition to pure damage strategy along with considerable range, creates opportunities to combo with other abilities that affect targets in a line, and offers a flexible way to strategize damage, either spread across a wide range or in a concentrated area. Um, so I'm gonna pull the bot back up, his information back up on the screen. So they wanted him to have short range, his long range right now with your ranged combat and fracas. Uh, got him as a stealth bomber. Yeah, and that's the other thing that's bothering me. If I go get this bot, and the bots don't, when the bots usually get a ability 11 after 4 weeks. If I have to go wait for his ability 11, then that means, and I only use him just for the purpose of disabling shields. Then I got a bot. I mean, granted, I'm taking time to level the bot because I don't just push my bots the first day. Um, but he's not going to be any good to me for what I would use him for without that ability 11. So, um, we'll have to see. So for the G1, and I'm just pulling my phone out. to look at that. So we're not able to test that yet, but it says that it's going to increase special ability damage by a percentage. And if the final target is destroyed by this ability, a newsflash, it won't be. But if you do destroy something with the ability, it's going to explode and it's going to set fire damage to targets in a medium area, and it's going to deal X percentage of damage for a certain amount of seconds. They hadn't determined that yet. Um, so it's like, all right, well, we're going to add fire in there. I mean, yeah, I think it's just going to take more than that, man. Now I can see that Michael Cooper made the comment that maybe if it did extra damage against shielded targets, that'll be cool. So Big Blade says, so to make bomber run work, the attack has to line up with the jet as it travels, not some lazy dump like Power Glide does. Dreadwing does an AoE missile to all targets in the way. And so, but, and while that's all true, how is it gonna perform in the current meta? Highly classified joined the chat and says, "Yo, tell Space 8 to make TFEW great again." Nah, I say, man, listen, that's probably gonna wind up being Supercell that winds up turning things around in that regard. So, we'll see how it goes. But all right, like be sure to if you got any advice that you want to try to pass on to Space 8 that you want me to talk about in play testing, leave me a comment for this video after that. And like I will try to give you as many updates as I can. For you guys that aren't on my Discord server, one of the things I started doing is I started making a library of all this stuff so that every time we get something new, first off, so people can remember the dates that we got this stuff. But secondly, so it'll be like kind of one-stop shop for people to just be able to go in and see what the bot does. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't usually do that right after the live stream because I get a lot more views after the live stream date because I got a lot of fans in other parts of the world. I got fans in Russia, UK, stuff like that. So a lot of times they're watching it tomorrow. So I give them a chance to watch the stream, and then I'll come in about a day or two later and post it in the Discord chat, all the details. Plus, I want to give like Waza and all the other guys a chance to make their videos as well. So yeah, Foxabomb asked a very interesting question. He says, "I wonder how long till the meta changes," and I don't know. It needs to. Now, granted, it's been like a small meta shift where fires coming into the meta offensively and then blocking fires coming into the meta defensively, but that's not really what I would consider a full meta shift. It has to be something bigger than that. So we'll see how it goes, man. All right, so we were talking about this a little tiny bit last week, but the question got asked to me. I want to say, like honestly, it got asked to me like 3 times last week. Oh no, well, it wasn't that bot, but I'll talk about that. So I was been looking at a lot of bots that have similar abilities, and I had one player in particular approach me and says, "Man, like this dude, Nova Prime and Vector Prime, like these abilities just don't work. Like they just die." And they was like, and a lot of people was like, "Well, they just will continue to use Blot and Rook." But for me, it made me started looking at differences in a lot of the different bots, and I talked about that a little bit last time. So I'm not going to beat that dead horse about that. But then another pairing came up, or another bot that I used came up, and they started talking about the differences with, and then the question came up, why do I use Rodimus Unicronus? Now, one thing I look at when I'm using bots that have similar abilities is that because the comparison came to, well, how come I'm using him and not Tarn? And I got asked that question. So for you guys on the Autobot side, um, why am I using him as opposed to on you guys' side that would be Alpha Trion? And so I actually took a deeper look again because I was like, well, first off, I can't remember if I have them on my. I don't think I have them on my live account. I think he's the last one that I got. Or did I pull anybody from that batch? Period. Which kind of sucks because if I don't have them on there, I don't have them on the playtest account either. So let me take a look and see what I got here on playtest right now because I will have to level them up and everything. But long story short, my answer to the last person I talked to about it, my answer to that was simple. It's just like, and I only got the 4-star here, but like let's just look at the concept of the ability. And for me, when I started looking at that concept, it's one major difference with Rod U compared to Tarn and Alpha Trion. And the biggest difference for me is what that I can use this consistently for ability damage on every single bot. Like, as far as Rod U and I believe y'all Autobot counterpart is Inferno. So when you use them, the biggest difference is like so when I'm looking at Tarn, so you're getting a class specific buff. So yeah, for the warrior damage reduction, yeah, that works. You making your tank tankier. Love it. Air class damage, special ability damage. Love it. Air class should have great special abilities and do massive damage. Um, for special class, you're giving them an overall DPS boost. Cool, that works. Most specials do pretty good damage. Gunners, you're doing attack speed, which, we do measure this stuff in damage per second. So cool, but what you're not getting out of your specials and what you're not getting out of your gunners when you use Tarn and Alpha Trion compared to Rodimus Unicronus and Inferno is you are not getting ability damage for all of those other classes. And that's what's important to me because we'll take a look at my team in a second, but I just want to finish talking about the last two things that Tarn and Alpha Trion do is so your triple changes get reflection. Okay, that's cool. Your medics get additional healing. Okay, that's cool. But that's why I use it because of the team build. And I think that we don't talk about team build enough. Now I know I've talked about it a few times on here, but and it was refreshing because in my alliance today we were having this conversation about, does anybody have any like oddball bots that they use? It's just, you know, it's a little bit different than what everybody's using. And I'm like, yes, it's a couple of them, because and they use me as an example. They's like, Freeze is the only one I see that uses Nova Prime, and I was like, yeah, because I like him because I like him as that replacement. Uh, I like to use him instead of Blot now because I, those flips are pretty dependable. But that's what I'm saying. And say Chris is in there in the chat now. So he says, but you're getting healing from healer and health for gunners. And so that's true. When you go use Rod, you still are gonna boost up the special ability, which includes if you use your healer's ability. With me using Flatline, it does work for that. So and and I'm putting my team back together the way that I actually have it on the live server. So bear with me for a second because I show you what I'm talking about. So here, and I actually got a real good example, and I'm not trying to do this to embarrass anybody because we actually lost that war, but I got a really good example on my phone of what I'm talking about when it comes to this kind of stuff. Now with Rod U, if you look at my team build here, I got two huge AoE monsters here. Like I've been talking about, that's my trio of death. And so you've got Predacon Inferno, obviously is real deep into the meta right now. And then you got Octo Punch, who, a lot of people still use, but you know, um, he he he's a top 15 bot, I would say, in the game for sure. So the reason why I do that is it allows you to do a couple of different things. It allows you to be able to deal with whichever type of build bot comes up. So if you get an electric, anti EMP build bot, cool, man. I'll use Predacon Inferno or Leo Prime. If it's the opposite, where I've got the anti-fire, which more likely than not it's gonna be anti-fire. Then that's when I will go use Octo Punch. Um, which is Sea Spray for you guys on the Autobot side. Now, what I've been able to do is just take out large areas for that. But if I was using Alpha Trion and Tarn, I wouldn't be able to do that because the gunners wouldn't go get that ability damage boost. And I'm not saying that as a reason not to use Tarn. I'm not saying that at all, because the same reason that for me, the reason I would use Tarn and Alpha Trion would be the same reason that I use Nova Prime, and that's because I'll be able to get more damage out of them. And so, if that was the case, kind of like how I use Nova Prime to replace Blot, you know, um, the same thing could apply. If my team wasn't already set up that I had three gunners that I want to go boost their damage off of, or four gunners really. That's the reason why I've been using, I pushed Rodimus Unicronus. So I think it's really important to know what are the strengths and weaknesses of your team. Like if I had a bunch of air class bots on my team, absolutely I would go use Tarn 100% of the time. When I'm using just straight up AoE gunners, I'm using Rodimus Unicrons. I mean, to the point that I'm in these wars now when I'm fighting in hard war, and like here, for example, here's a shielded build bot. I use Rod U, I use Skull Smasher, Skull Cruncher, whatever we calling them. And usually when you get it shielded like that, it'll take you three. Well, actually, usually in a healing cluster, you can't get it down at all, but it'll take you 3 to 4 shots. I get that one in two. Most normal build bots, you have to get 2 shots on. I can get it in one, as long as Rod U has his ability running. So I wind up saving a shit ton of ability points, and that's all I'm saying. That's the reason why I use that. So I think somebody was asking the question about the trio of death. The trio of death is what I call them, and you got to actually go back and look through my old videos and look at it. But Rod U, uh, Octo Punch, Predacon Inferno, you can take out anything you want with that. As far as Predaking, there is no update on Predaking because Dale's sick. So Predaking is Dale's project, and Dale, I think I started talking about this last week, how he got sick, and so with that being his project, there hasn't really been any progress on it. As soon as there is, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, it's no Volcanicus and Predaking. I think are just basically on hold right now. But yeah, that's what I was looking at. Some of the other ones, I'm gonna go through some of the common ones I get because when I use certain bots, it always people just always ask me the questions about it. So I just started looking at, and I actually don't have them very high level, so I'm not gonna show it on screen or in play. But people always ask me, so what Hawk and Brainstorm versus Slipstream and Air Raid. So it's really two factors that I consider, and both of them typically lean me towards using Slipstream and Air Raid, and that's just the first off, they just fucking flat out cheaper, man. You know what I'm saying? So when I was, and I'm not using her right now, but when I was, one of the things that I did, so she's at 3+2, man. Now, that came with some other difficulties because one of the drawbacks with Slipstream and Air Raid is people was like, "What I don't like having to try to just pick out one particular target," and I was like, "Ah, man, and it just shows you where we've gone with the area of effect stuff. We've always picked one target. Like when this game was started, like half the jets were just one target jets. We started adding elements to them and stuff. We started adding all this stuff, but it was just you always had to pick a single target. And so when somebody gave me that as their reasoning, you know, I don't want to say recently because this was back when I was using Slipstream heavily. I was like, look, they do big area damage. You're gonna need a trigger for both essentially. Um, but Guy Hawk and Brainstorm they do have it where you can, you're freezing targets, and I wish there were more ice abilities in the game. I think that would be awesome because you're getting that speed reduction from it, and um, so there is definitely advantage there. Um, but I'll put it like this: if you're one of those guys that you're playing the game, you're playing it on a cell phone, and you fat finger everything, use Guy Hawk 100%. Brainstorm because you're gonna wind up using the ability, and you're gonna at least get close. If you're one of the people that's like worried about having to get your precision just perfectly, but I think it's nobody harder to use when it comes to precision than Warpath and Scully, in my opinion. So it's easier than that by default. But that's just kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm actually going to make a series out of it. I just wanted to see, it just I always get those questions. Why are you using this bot and not that bot? So, um, we'll check it out and see when I get into that whole video into that whole video series. All right, let's go check. I'm gonna check the chat. All right. Okay, so Ripping Griff said he started trying Rod and a Gunner, either Octo or Scully, and he says they've been dominating on his war squad, so that's good. Fox the Bomb says T2 seems to be a magnet for stun mines, at least for me. So I've actually run into that too. I seem like that's where I always get caught up at with him. Um, but it's probably because I don't spam abilities. So, because if I was using his ability more often, he would probably hang further in the back and it would be a non factor. But I always run over stuff because I clear a bunch of stuff with him and then he paths. His pathing is kind of bad. So, all right. I algorithm says, and I remember seeing you last week and I said, I know you were saying you were new to the game. You saying what's new? Yeah, really, we're just trying to go look for. So we got the endurance event coming, and that's gonna give a new 5-star to anybody who completes that event. So we were talking about that a little bit. But honestly, this time of year, it's surprisingly quiet, and it's because I don't know if it's because the holidays, not everybody is staffed, or because there's gonna be big changes coming with Supercell having 100% of the company. It's been super quiet in the game lately, so not a lot of news. Yeah, and Ripping Grip actually made a point that I was making earlier. Like your Scully initial position is very important to take out multiple build bots. So, and the thing is, for me, I go back and forth because I hadn't when I was using Scully. I mean, I still use Scully, but when I'm using him, I do take out build bots, but that's not my usually not my sole focus. I try to take out as much as I can now, and I wasn't doing that at first. I was just catching the particular build bots that affected my team. But then when I started using Rod U, I said, well, I can take out as many build bots as I want because I'm using them, and I got 10 seconds to do this, and I can take out multiple build bots in one shot, which makes it awesome. And I wind up getting a bunch of points back. Nah, it's not a new character for this event algorithm. It is a new it's a new bot for, I believe it's next week's event. So that's what we'll be looking at. It's this dude. Yeah, nah, and I agree with you, Foggy. I hope the Supercell straightens out some stuff because this is where we're at. But all right, guys, I am going to call it a night. I will see you next week for sure, and hopefully, I can see you guys again between now and then with some updates for this new bot. I'm definitely looking forward to getting testing on them a little bit harder tomorrow than it was today because I needed I needed a little bit of time, but yeah, yeah, man, like we'll see how it goes. If you got questions, comments, concerns, leave them in my comment section for this video, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But all right, guys, I will see you next time, and I will see you on the battlefield. Freezy is out.